Guys, welcome to another video. I hope everybody's doing well. It's pretty cloudy today in the Philippines, so it's actually quite unusual being summer. But let's get into the video. So you've seen the topic, things to consider when having a mixed race child. Not many people are here talking about this, and I honestly genuinely think it's something that you should consider before you should have one. And it's nothing to say don't have one, it's just some of the implications that you might come across, or should I say the child might come across. And more than anything, it's just food for thought. So yeah, try not to make too many hate comments, please. Now, just a quick intro about myself. Okay, so clearly I am mixed race. Well, you might have not known that, but yeah, I'm mixed race. My mum is English. She's from the northwest, very, very close to Manchester. If you know Goulburn, that's where she's originally from. And my father is Zimbabwean. So I pretty much grew up in the UK. Okay, so I grew up in the 90s, so I was a 90s kid, born in the 80s, a 90s kid. And it was a good time, to be fair. You know, growing up with The Simpsons, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, etc., etc. So I can't complain about too much. But yeah, obviously being mixed race at that time, especially where I lived at the time, in Wigan, you can imagine, obviously, it wasn't very diverse. Now, I don't have a problem with that at all, but at that time, if you know what I mean, being the only one, you're pretty much a target at that point. So yeah, it wasn't obviously the nicest of times. Obviously coming from children and even adults sometimes, it was weird, do you know what I mean? And yeah, sometimes you don't really notice straight away, but then yeah, you see how people act, and especially kids straight away. I remember one kid saying to me, why are you brown? Or well, one lad at high school said, obviously he wasn't this stupid, but I remember him saying to me, is my shit white? And I was like, are you fucking serious? You know what I mean? It's like some of these things that these kids come up with, obviously, is absolutely insane. Now, you're probably thinking, well, right, well, what would happen if I went to Zimbabwe? Oh yeah, I did go to Zimbabwe. I actually, in fact, lived there for 2 years. And the same thing happened there. Believe it or not, I was known as the white kid. Yeah, I know. I'm definitely not white. But yeah, I remember being in school. School was very, very different. It was very, very, very backwards, let's just say that. It was like what our grandparents went through, you know, the cane. I'm going to do more videos about, obviously, Zimbabwe at the time I used to live there. I lived there between 1997 to 1999. So it was an interesting time because the whole downfall and the inflation problem wasn't there at the time. So yeah, it was an interesting time. It's a beautiful country when I went there, and I've not been since 1999. But getting back to the topic, yeah, it was, it never really fit in there either. And this is why I'm coming to what you should really consider when having a mixed race child. The thing is, growing up as a child, especially before your teenage years, you want to belong in a group. And again, all this is coming from my personal experience. And I remember trying to fit in both cultures. One experience when I was in the UK, I grew up at a time that the boy bands were really, really big. So we're talking like, Blue, name on top of my head now, NSYNC, do you know all them kind of bands? And yeah, obviously that kind of style was in fashion, everybody was gelling their hair, do you know what I mean? And I remember at one point saying to my mum, can you gel my hair? And obviously you can imagine, looking at my hair right now, how well that went. It didn't go very well at all. So yeah, that was one of the problems, obviously, when you were growing up with, like, you know, a lot of differences to everybody around you. I remember looking at my school photos, and I remember you could see me straight away. I was like, it's a brown dot on the year school or the whole year photo. So yeah, you can see me straight away. And it was the same in Zimbabwe. I remember trying to become a Zimbabwean. My dad was more pushing me towards that at the time, and just trying to act how they did. And I remember when I was there, a lot of them don't wear shoes. This is at the time of when I was there. I don't know now, but a lot of the time they didn't wear shoes. So I remember trying not to wear shoes just so I could fit in. And yeah, that did not go well because my sort of soft feet, like soft English feet, did not take well to the spikes. Yeah, it was an absolute nightmare. And I remember being at school as well, and again the canings, and I remember how crazy this story was that. So we were trying to learn measurements, so like inches and meters and whatever, and they told us to strip a branch off a tree and bring it into school so we can learn how to measure. I don't know why that was the case, until I came in and realised that was your own personal hitting stick. So they would hit you with that stick that you brought in, so it's like bringing your own demise in. Yeah, very, very different culture from the English culture, definitely, especially now. God. But yeah, when you're trying to fit into a box, and it's especially hard when someone doesn't even know where you're from. Do you know what I mean? Even now to this day, people are trying to guess. Like, they hear an English accent and then they expect something completely different. They expect like either Asian, South American, Caribbean. Do you know what I mean? It's just, yeah, that's one thing you've really got to consider. Now, it's not for every mixed race person. It just depends, obviously, what you come out as. It's going to sound weird. Like, my brother and sister, they came out different colours to me. And what do I mean by that? Different shades. So I'm the lightest, brother's the darkest, my sister's like somewhere in between. And it obviously depends, what features you get from which parents. But when you get something between, like right smack in the middle between, or more towards one parent, it does become a little bit difficult for people to recognise where you're from. Do you know what I mean? And then it kind of takes you outside of a group. Do you know what I mean? And this is why I found it so easy to adjust to the Philippines, because yeah, no matter what, I'm going to be an outsider here, and in being that, I've been used to it most of my life anyway, so it's not really even going to matter. I could go anywhere in the world and it still wouldn't matter where I'm at. I'm still an outsider, even in my own bloody country, England. So yeah, again, this is definitely something that you need to consider when obviously having a mixed race child. And that brings me on to dating. Now, as you can imagine, being in an all-white town, some people were a little bit obviously fascinated, should I say, but that was only towards the end of like my high school year. But yeah, being in a majority white town, obviously when it comes to a lot of locals, and this is around the world, doesn't matter where you go, like the actual majority of the country is going to prefer their own race. It's just a matter of fact, do you know what I mean? So again, I wasn't like the picker litter. I wasn't even, I don't think I even dated anyone until after high school, do you know what I mean? So yeah, there was that. But yeah, it did get a lot better though, I'm not gonna lie. It did get a hell of a lot better when mixed race people were getting more mainstream, especially when JLS came along. God, I love that group. I don't like any of their songs, not one. But Jesus Christ, when JLS came through, oh my God, I was definitely a chosen type at that point. So thank you, JLS, if you're ever watching. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Just an overall message about this video. End of the day, I'm not trying to scare people from having mixed race children. If I'm honest, most people these days are like a quarter Irish or whatever, ever. But obviously when it comes to skin tone, it's a little bit different, especially these days. Like, it's absolutely nuts, like the things that are happening in the news, etc. So obviously it's going to be put more on that kind of situation. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, again, I'm not trying to discourage people from having mixed race children. In fact, I've got a son who is technically like a quarter black, I guess. But if you look at him, he just looks white, because his mother is white. And these days, obviously, the world's more diverse, especially England's. Yeah, definitely more diverse. But that's another video. But it is something to consider, especially culture here, and then obviously the colour of the skin, etc. It is something to obviously to consider. That's all I'm saying. Okay, that is it. Self. What would I consider myself? Okay, so it's all about identity, isn't it, these days, isn't it? Like, what do I identify as, etc. And if I'm honest, it was weird, because so many people, especially growing up, will put you in a box regardless. And what was funny about it, it depended on the person. So one people will say, "Oh, you're black." This came from one of the first time that I ever heard it was from black women. Actually, that's weird. So black women that I've come across anyway, that I've dated or I've done my hair or just interacted with, I got asked a question. What do you consider yourself as? And I was like, I'm mixed race. She goes, no, you're black. And I was like, God damn, I didn't know this. And some friends as well. I remember one guy saying to me, do you know what? We were drunk at the time in Ibiza. And I remember saying, do you know what, Yusuf? I'm so happy I've got a black friend. I was like, I love you too, man. As you talk like drunk talk shit. But then what was more interesting is like the white women that I dated that were night riders. Look that term if you don't know it. The women that predominantly dated black men, like full dark, and this is it doesn't even have to be white. Like even the Filipino ones that are like proper on the black guys, they wouldn't consider me black. No. So it's weird how that works. Do you know what I mean? It's so weird how people will put you in the box even though you've not even opened your mouth. Do you know what I mean? So, final thoughts. What do I consider myself as? Okay. So I consider myself as mixed race. Okay. The reason why I consider myself mixed race is because it is true. It's biologically true. I'm like pretty much 50-50 on both sides. Okay. One's white, one's black. Right. But if you ask me, like, what's my culture? British, 100%. I was there majority of the time. Do you know what I mean? I was there at the school system majority of the time. My voice, my accent, everything is English. Okay. My value system, English. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I would consider myself, and that's what I'm going to stick to. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what anyone puts me in that kind of box, that's who I am, a British man. If anyone says, where'd you come from? Or, do you know, any identity? I'm a British man, okay? And I have the heritage of Africa.